answering these interview questions.
We didn't do introductions for the last two. I probably should have mentioned. Way to go.
Just of course it's me. Alright.
Don't worry, we'll bleep that out. Peak cinema.
This is like pretty deep.
With like media and stuff, I wasn't allowed to really watch very much. Like I wasn't allowed to watch Scooby-Doo because it was apparently too scary.
Horrifying.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
It is horrifying. It's very scary.
Yes, my favourite horror film is John Carpenter's The Thing.
I have a lot of favorite horror films. I absolutely adore the genre. But notably, I love the Saw movies, I love the Chucky movies, and clearly Nightmare on Elm Street.
Maybe Halloween Kills or the first Conjuring movie.
I really do enjoy the movie Scream. The first one is obviously my favourite one.
Probably Alien. It's very deep to me. It's great.
I do, and it's called Yellow Jackets. Yeah.
I would probably say like Midsummer.
What is it you like about it? Is it the story or the horror?
What I like about it is the setting of pure isolation, and it's one of the few films that got me really into horror, and the whole practical effects really stuck with me.
Is there a particular scene from it that stands out in your mind whenever you think of it?
The tension of the scene where they're testing their blood to see if they are the thing, timeless, and just love it every time I watch it.
You see, when a man bleeds, it's just tissue. The blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try and survive.
Is there a second scene that stands out in your head?
The scene when they're about to try to resuscitate one of the people and then find out it's the thing and then ends up biting his arms off.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Beautiful.
Clear!
Is there a particular scene that sticks out from one of the horror films that you mentioned that stands out in your mind?
I think one of the most iconic scenes from A Nightmare on Elm Street is the scene where Johnny Depp's character is killed in the bedroom, and the effects in that scene, the practical effects, the blood everywhere, it's just very visually amazing, and it's just a cool kill in the movie, and I think it succeeds at what it's trying to do, while also being sort of eerie to look at as well.
About those two films that you liked?
So I would say for Halloween, it's the sort of like intensity, the like atmosphere, like of it all. Going over to the Conjuring is like once again that sort of like atmosphere, and it's very good at like setting up like surround sounds and like setting up their like jump scares and everything else. That's what I like about it.
Is there a particular scene from either that sticks out in your mind?
Definitely. Halloween Kills in the opening scene where the fighters open up a hatch and like Michael is just looking right up at them in a pit of like fire.
Raise my hands here! Shake my hand! Take my hand now! Drop my hand!
What the fuck is that?
Then he comes out and he slaughters all of them. And then from the first Conjuring, there's two. One of them is like the a demon who is hiding on a wardrobe, and the second one is where a hanging body falls like down through a grate on like the roof like hatch, and the character's like, "Oh my god, it's a body!"
Particular scene from that film that stands out in your memory?
When the killer first revealed to the main character, that was the scene I was like, wow, that's really cool. And how each of the killers were like playing with their voices, and then they were also telling the real voice, and the girl was just looking there like, what? So that's what I was really, but that scenes were just really good for me. Like but always remember that ones.
Surprise, Sydney.
Ooh!
Oh, now, whoa. What's the matter, Sydney? You look like you've seen a ghost.
It's really interesting in that, because rather than it just being a random mass killer, it was people she thought she could trust the whole time.
It was really this again. It was like testing her trust with people. It was interesting to me.
Huh?
Oh my god.
Sydney.
Billy, watch out!
What is it about Alien or Scream that you like?
For Alien, it's the atmosphere. The entire thing's got a nice vibe to it, and it's what makes it creepy. And for Scream, probably the characters too, because I mean, Stu, funny.
What is your favorite part about the atmosphere in Alien?
Good question. I don't know. Like, it's the idea of like it's always like you don't know where it is, and you always have this sensor thing, and it tells you where it is, but you never see the thing. It's coming. Like, I'm pretty sure if you watch the movie, you barely see the alien. I could be wrong.
It has a very black and biomechanical sort of design.
Yeah, like it definitely looks like an alien. Doesn't look human, doesn't look normal, but like it's the idea that like this thing's always just out of your perspective. You never know where it is, and it always sneaks up. That's what's probably creepy about the atmosphere.
Is there a favorite scene that sticks out in your mind?
Probably the iconic one from the second movie, where Ripley comes out in her big mechanical suit and fights the Queen, because it's just iconic at this point.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Is there a favorite horror scene?
Ooh, horror scene. Like a scene that creeped me?
Yeah.
Bring it back to Alien. In the new Alien movie, there was a scene that did creep me.
Oh, no spoilers.
No spoilers, but at the very end, there's a unique thing that happens that kind of freaked me out a bit. It was a bit creepy to watch.
My favorite scene from Alien is the deleted scene of the alien doing a crab walk.
I know what scene you're on about that, but yeah.
Is there anything about it that you like in particular?
I like the mystery aspect and the whodunits and how everyone is solving murder, and there's just a lot of secrecy throughout the teen timeline and the adult timeline.
So it's split off into two different sections?
Yeah, so the teen timeline would be where all the like gross stuff happens, and the adult timeline is the trauma and healing from all that.
So it's back and forth from seeing like everything horrible that went down and then seeing like the after effects of it?
Yeah, and even in the adult timeline, they're still committing a lot of crimes. A lot.
Is there a particular scene from it that sticks out in your mind?
There's a very like traumatic scene where in the teen timeline one of their friends dies in the snow.
Wake up! No! Jackie, wake up! No! No, Jackie, wake up! No!
So they cremate her body and then they all get really delirious and eat her. Horrifying.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
It is horrifying. It's pretty scary.
It's like it's not like there isn't jump scares and stuff, but it's scary, kind of like the whole like cult aspect to it and everything. It's pretty freaky.
Is there anything else about it that you like?
I don't know. I think it's just because it's so like you know something's wrong, even whenever there isn't anything wrong. Like at the start, you're kind of like, oh, this feels weird. Like, what's wrong with this place? Like, why is it so like perfect? Yeah, I just think that it's like eerie.
Uncanny?
Yeah.
Welcome and happy midsummer. Skål!
What time is it?
9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky is blue.
This is what 9 p.m. is like here.
Is there a particular scene from it that sticks out in your mind?
Probably whenever they first see like someone like jump off the cliff, and like that's like their first like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Like this is crazy. Why is everyone acting like this is completely normal? Kind of thing, because it was just like everyone around was just kind of like
The sane person in a group of crazy people?
yeah. Or at the end, whenever the main girl's boyfriend is getting like burned in a building in like a suit, like a bear suit, and he's basically been like drugged, so he can't move, so he's just like has to sit there burning alive in this building, and like the girl who he like was dating, she like kind of gets indoctrinated in it, and she like is just watching this happen, and she's just like accepting it.
So she's joined the madness.
Yeah, basically.
When you were younger, did you ever seek out like horror stories in different forms, like say maybe true crime or true horror story narrations?
Well, of course, when I was younger, there were like creepypastas were very popular. There was the usuals. You have your Slendermans, your Jeff the Killers, and things like that. Smile Dog. You know, I was never hugely into creepypastas, but I definitely looked at them when they were sort of in.
100%. I was someone who gave me an iPad when I was age 9 and be like, hey, have that. So I did find creepypastas and also other horror things from like my yes, and went down that rabbit hole ever since then. So yes, I have many times.
I've always been fascinated with like horror stories because they tend to have more interesting scenarios or plot going on, and that sense of unease, if one really gets to you. Really used to listen to like a lot of them creepypastas, helped me to kind of gradually go towards horror writing because I do quite enjoy it.
Slenderman at first was like very like interesting, as it's just a guy in the woods in all white, leaving like papers everywhere, and you have to go and like find them, reading sort of on all that, I would say. And creepy like pastas, like definitely like all those like homemade like animated ones, like where like someone's walking into a shop and then like this happens, that happens, sort of thing.
There's some stories I wouldn't disagree on and I don't really enjoy, but the one I'm still trying to remember to this day is Tiki Toby. He works with Slenderman, and his story is just very interesting to me.
So is Tiki Toby its own story that is directly connected to Slenderman?
Yes, it's his own story, and then Slenderman picked him up, as they say.
Just like, this is my child now.
Yes, where he works with him.
With every creepypasta, they find some way to bring Slenderman into it.
Every time.
I always like watch like analog horror stuff and like creepypastas as well. Probably should not have been able to, but it's kind of what made me like it.
Everyone went through that young phase of horror.
Yeah, Slenderman.
Yeah.
Ben drowned.
The third time Slenderman's been mentioned, but the first time Ben drowned.
Ben drowned is not that creepy. Jeff the Killer, yeah. Stuff like that.
So Tiki Toby's one of your favorite ones?
He is one of my favorites. His stories is like very interesting, and how his character always ticks, and like that's just different to all the other ones, because you have Jeff the Killer, and he edgy killer. Yeah, the white face. You have Slenderman, the one that looks like the boogeyman. Lanky man that always lives in the forest, and you have Smiley Dog, a dog that really smiles a lot. Yeah, so his was just very different to the stories that you hear. So he's not a killer. He's something different. He has a story. He's still a killer, but there's still something there.
Say every like now and then, when it's like towards like Halloween time, I would watch like a couple creepy like pastas and things to like set up that vibe and like mood.
Yeah. Though a lot of creepypastas tend to not be as high quality as you remember them.
Yeah. Some of them though are diamond in the rough where they're really interesting.
Could you tell me what is it that makes him different?
It was his backstory that was just different. It was like he had a family and he had sisters, and at age 17 he got kidnapped, and then that's where the story starts. So it's very mystery after that. And he has a mask, and how we don't know how he got his like face tattoo of his mouth and stuff like that. We don't know how. So it was very interesting for me.
When I was younger, I did like watch Five Nights at Freddy's. That's not really that scary. Yes.
When you were younger, did you ever seek out similar kinds of scary stories?
Yes, but because whenever I was younger, I was very sheltered, so I wasn't really like whenever with like media and stuff, I wasn't allowed to really watch very much. Like I wasn't allowed to watch Scooby-Doo because it was apparently too scary. So like when you're a kid and you're like not allowed to do stuff, you're gonna look for it, but I also seen like worse things, I feel like, because I went looking for it. Things on like YouTube, like for some reason My Little Pony, like there's like scary My Little Pony videos.
Very easy to fall down the YouTube rabbit hole of creepy stuff.
And like again, creepypastas, you know, that kind of stuff.
If you can.
You know, like Slenderman, Jeff the Killer, Smile Dog, or
I think them ones where it was like a eldritch, where it's just you cannot understand and it's a lot bigger in scale.
Cosmic horror in general.
Yeah, cosmic horror, because they just fascinate me of how you would even write that, or the implications of it. It's interesting instead of just an average killer story.
Yeah, it's like staring out into the abyss and it looks back at you. Is there one that particularly stuck out in your mind, at least?
I think Jeff the Killer, just the visual of that, always scared me. I remember there was a level in Little Big Planet. This is really random, but there was a level in a game and it was based on Jeff the Killer, and that scared me as a kid. because it would sort of chase you and everything along with the actual story of Jeff the Killer. Of course, it's all just, you know, complete fiction, but it was definitely creepy at the time.
It's just, it tends to get my mind thinking, and maybe that's why I do it, to then calm down in the night. But even then, it's intricate, which is why I like some of them stories. And tends to be better than a lot of other stories.
Stories that tend to make you think are ones that stick with you a lot more. Do you feel that?
Yeah, that would be an accurate assessment of it.
So, what kind of analog horror?
Annie. You know, like I mean, everyone knows the backrooms, but that's kind of basic.
10 pixels.
It's like a basic answer.
A little more. A little more.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa!
It is the most popular one.
Yeah. What's the movie? There's a movie that does analog horror, and I forget what it was called, but it was very good. I could try and find it sometime, but I don't know the name. But it did had like big monsters and shit, but it was like an analog horror.
Oldest View?
Might have. I don't know. It's
because that's also 10 pixels.
Is it? No, but I swear it was a proper movie. Oh, I don't know what it is, but there was an analog horror movie that
Could
came
have been
out.
fan footage.
Could be fan footage. Don't know, but yes, it was something like that.
What? Oh! Oh no!
I'll just say like backrooms, or like I don't know. I can't really think of others off the top of my head.
The Backrooms is more interesting when it's just like this giant labyrinth.
I mean, would you count SCP? There's some SCP analog horror.
I mean, SCP.
I'll
That
just-
works.
Yeah, I'll just say SCP because I think it's got an interesting concept. And
Yeah.
like that, like every day there was a new floor and it was like a new row. I'm just like, I like that it was something small. Like I know it's similar to SCP where the community adds to it, but I feel like with SCP the community actually added it, like beneficial stuff to it.
Yeah.
Whereas Backrooms they're just adding stuff. So
Have a favorite analog horror or fan footage horror?
it's probably between Backrooms and Blair Witch Project because Blair Witch Project was kind of turned into a bigger thing over time, but it started as something small, little fan footage thing, so like that.
Is there anything about Blair Witch that was interesting to you?
I don't know, just I think the concept of how it was made, because I'm pretty sure the original Blair Witch was made by, they literally just got people, paid them to go into the forest, and then just filmed them without them knowing which added to the horror and made it feel more real. Because like they didn't know they thought they were being followed by random people, but they were being followed by the directors, obviously. And it was all safe. It was just, to them, they thought it was a real thing, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That is interesting because there is scenes in the movie where like the scene where they like flip the tent over and like the actors just like run out. Like they were sort of told ahead of time like we're gonna do something and you're gonna film it, but they just had no idea what they're gonna do.
Yeah, that's what it was, because they were told to like just film their thing, see what happens, but
So,
they
like,
never knew.
Oh, Jesus! Oh, Jesus! Go, fucking go! Oh, God! God!
All their reactions are just like as genuine as possible.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Just makes it more engaging.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But something I did see in more recent years, but not anytime. I wasn't a kid, you know, and I sort of looked at a lot of true crime.
But I also went down a dark path and watched a lot of true crime in high school, which I deeply regret because it has scarred me deeply.
And then whenever I was a bit older, I enjoyed true crime a lot. I used to fall asleep to it. I don't know why, it was really calming to me.
I got out of phase of true crime, and I think that was interesting. But I don't know if I'd ever return to that. I think the difference between true crime and real or fictional things is that it's almost depressingly real because it's just something that's actually happened.
That is true.
And it can just be more disturbing in a very real way.
I'm pretty sure everyone went through the true crime phase.
Yeah, I just find it so low vibrational. It's just so like.
And there's that point where you're just like, wait, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, there's real people out here that do that stuff. I don't like it.
Do you still do that?
No. No.
So you've sort of gotten out of that phase?
Yeah, I realized that maybe listening to someone talk about people getting murdered is probably not the most soothing thing to listen to, so I instead watch videos on YouTube, like Let's Play videos and stuff.
I think just like the likes of like John Benny Ramsey, and I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, they're usually the ones that are the worst because they're not solved. And there was one about this guy who frantically left his home one night and he was found in this hotel function room. And I don't know, it just like actually stuck with me and it's like horrifying.
Do you still look for scary stories or true crime related content?
Not so much true crime, but if there was like a TV show which had some fictional horror aspects, I would like to watch it.
So you don't really look for those kinds of stories as much anymore?
I do enjoy horror, like I enjoy like horror movies to an extent. I like Saw. I enjoy Saw. Chucky's pretty good. The Conjuring. Like I do enjoy horror movies, but I wouldn't say that it's my favorite genre, if you know what I mean. I would have definitely enjoyed it a lot more, like maybe like a year or two ago, whenever I was first properly getting into like horror movies. Well, maybe a few years, but I definitely enjoyed them a lot more like a few years ago.
Would you say you still sort of look for scary stories in different forms?
Yeah, I mean, I love horror, specifically movies. I don't know if that counts as scary stories. In terms
I
of,
would say it would.
If it would, then yeah, absolutely. I love horror movies so much. I still go to the cinema regularly to see the newest horror movie. I just seen The Monkey recently, great horror comedy based on Stephen King's story. So yeah, absolutely.
Would you say in a way that slashers feel like a sort of fictionalized true crime story in a sense?
Yes, and I think again, it depends. You have your like realistic slashers that could happen in real life, but I think in general the slasher formula is almost a bit out there and a bit silly in a way, while also having that sort of masked killer thing that does exist. But I do enjoy the fictional aspects of it because it takes away from the realism. I think realism in a horror movie is great, obviously, of course, and you know, it can make the story feel like it can actually happen. But I feel like at the same time, I like to distance myself from reality because you know that's why I watch entertainment. In my opinion, is to just sort of have fun and get away from real life.
Would you consider grounded and realistic horrors more engaging to you, or would you prefer more out there, more sort of fictionalized elements in horror?
I think grounded horror is more scary because it's more real, I guess. I mean, that's kind of a basic answer. I mean, obviously there's like, oh, sorry, Jer. There's like things that, you know, fiction ones do that can be scary and all, but when it's more realistic, it's like, like for like stalkers, murderers, that type of thing, it's like, because there's actual things like that, it's like, that's more freakier to me.
That's easier to understand?
Yeah. It's easier. I think another big thing though is probably why more people might be afraid by things that aren't real is because like it's hard to understand. You know, fear like the unknown type thing. That.
We've had a lot of fear of the unknowns in these interviews.
I think it's just like a thing everyone's afraid of. I don't think anyone likes not understanding what something is.
So Alien sort of fits into that fear of the
yes,
unknown, and Scream fits into that slightly more realistic side.
Yeah, because I mean, there's been cases like Scream. Alien's obviously not real, fear of the unknown, but it's also more of a fear of like you're lost in space and there's like nothing you can do. I mean, in space, no one can hear you scream. Yeah, isolation. Like it's like that's
the back rooms.
Oh, fits.
Yeah.
That works. But yeah, probably.
It's all coming together.
Isolation's the right word. Probably that's a big fear. Probably yeah, being like isolated and alone.
Alright. So
I understand why realistic horror gets to people because that could happen and it is very uneasy. For like a film like Hostel where people could be tortured and you wouldn't know. But I think for the scale of just pure intrigue, it has to be something more, something interesting, just to add a little...
something to separate it.
Yeah, a little intrigue.
Because many things like slashers, for example, it's understandable why you'd be terrified of like someone stalking you or chasing you. But all of those kinds of things tend to have something different.
It needs to have something to differentiate itself from the crowd. Because you can't really just make a slasher film right now unless there's some kind of twist.
Yeah.
Like even Jason, sorry. He was just an original killer and then it just developed into supernatural just to make him interesting. As an example.
Or ones like Michael Myers where it's more so the mystery where he's supposed to be human and yet he's inhuman at the same time.
Yeah. I do wish though they went with the original name, The Shape, with Michael Myers. Would have been a lot more impactful maybe.
It also feels a little vague at the same time though. So, would you say that you prefer grounded and realistic horror to more fictionalized, more out there horror stories?
I think like when I mentioned Yellow Jackets, it was a good example because there's a theory going around online whether it is supernatural or it's grounded in reality, so I think a good mix of both is always good.
So like sort of questioning the story.
Yeah, like seeing if like people are actually capable of doing those things in real time or if it is just the supernatural.
Are people forced to act this way or do they choose to?
I think that's just really up to imagination or what you really think.
The more you know.
Yeah.
I would say the ones more out there as like you can do anything with it. Like you've like endless like
creativity?
Yeah, like endless like possibilities there. When it's like grounded, it's sort of set like in like that one sort of way and it can't really be changed much unless you break away from that like original set.
Thank you.
More realistic. I don't like the fiction. I don't really like the makeup and stuff like that. I'd rather watch murder. That makes sound weird, but I'm cautious with murder. But if you bring in ghosts or like dolls going alive, I would be like, no, I don't want to touch dolls or anything like that. So I'm more like interested in the killers if I'm watching horror.
Like slasher?
Yeah, more slashers. I would not be interested in having dolls because then I will be terrified of dolls after that.
So you don't watch horror, like supernatural horror films
No,
or such
no.
because they scare you?
Yes, they will scare me back in the day. No, thanks.
Would you say that your preference for horror leans to more fictionalized ones or more grounded horror stories?
I like the idea of things being fictional because I'm like, okay, it's not real. But also, there's also like a weird, like almost like drawn to like the ones that are based off true stories because it's so much scarier. Like, I can't even think of an example right now, but like, I feel like just knowing that it's happened in the past is just so scary.
I can understand that. There was one time when I was listening to like a horror podcast and there was one story that came on that just physically made me sick.
Yeah, there is like some things that are like so bad that it actually does make you feel a bit ill, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped listening to like true crime as well, is because some of them it was just like, this is just too much.
I personally enjoy both, but as I've mentioned, I almost prefer when it's a bit more fictional, because just the sort of silliness and the how out there things can get takes away from the reality and makes it less, I don't know, depressing.
It feels real, but simultaneously far enough away to where it's not. I don't know where I was going with that.
I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why that's why it appeals to me. But I do think horror movies that are very realistic and based on real events can be good. But I also think if you're gonna do something that could happen in real life, at least try and make it separate from a real event. Because I think sometimes if you base something on a real event, you can get the details wrong. Or...
It can be seen as tasteless.
Yeah, tasteless, insensitive, and just, I don't know, there's something weird about it. I don't really enjoy that kind of media because I think it's sort of disrespectful to like the victims in real life and things. So, yeah, grounded, realistic horror can be very good, but I prefer when it's not based on a true story to that extent.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is a bit more of a personal question. What would you say are your biggest fears? And would you mind giving 3 or just 1?
This is like pretty deep.
My 3 biggest fears. So I'd say 1 is bonbon sweets. Yep, the texture is horrifying. Spiders, because the film Arachnophobia actually triggered me as a child. And men.
Just men.
Just men. True crime, men. Yeah.
Understandable.
First one would be fear of the unknown, but I feel like that's a more general fear.
Yeah.
Because you can't make assurances of it.
The dark. I hate the dark. I can't. I cannot be in the dark.
This is like really deep, but I think probably my biggest fear is being forgotten, which I feel like is inevitable to happen to most people. I mean, unless you do
Almost
something
existential.
Yeah, there's an existentialness to that. I don't know. It's just the fear of no one remembering you after you're gone. You know.
Isolation, probably. Sometimes I, like being on my own, and sometimes I'm like, I think it's most people you get hit with like a, whoa, I'm alone. Don't like that feeling, you know?
Where am I?
Yeah, like you're just kind of like, what am I doing? Like why am I not with someone? Or you know, like when someone offers you to hang out or something, or do something, you say no, and after you're like, probably isolation.
3 of them. One of them is definitely heights. absolutely hate heights.
Relatable.
The other one where don't really have a reason for it, I have a fear of heights. Definitely scared of heights.
I relate to that very much so.
Cannot go near a railing for the life of me.
Maybe heights.
Also understandable.
Not so much as recent times because I've been trying to get over it by doing like climbing and stuff, but like definitely growing up I hated it. Anything remotely high.
Like, would you find it scarier being somewhere like you recognize but it's just devoid of like any people, or somewhere like you've never been before and are just completely lost?
Probably the first one, being in an area that I know but it's like completely different, like the void. That's probably more.
Or the upside down.
Yeah, like that will probably be more frequent because it's something I recognize it, but it's just not right. Well, when it's something new, if I'm in a new place, I'll probably be more interested because it's like the sense of like adventure or something. I like to like just see what's happening.
Third one, I also feel like a lot of people would agree with is not fear of the ocean, but deep ocean. But it goes then back to fear number one.
Yeah. The abyss staring back at you.
50-foot squid.
Subnautica.
The ocean.
Understandable.
Like, I can't, even if I look at it, I'm like, oh no.
I would say another fear would be constantly being followed, as it's that eerie like presence of like something's always there and always looking at you.
Kind of like in Halloween or Slenderman or The Conjuring in that sense.
Exactly. As there's like always that sort of like a presence there.
I think home intrusion as a concept is pretty scary. Like, I'm home alone quite a lot, and so when it's like dark or when I have to like spend the night in my house alone by myself, it's a little scary sometimes.
Something like Scream,
you know, getting a call. I don't know, that could be, it would be pretty scary in real life, yeah.
I'm not really afraid of stalkers, I'm just afraid of like a little like fear I just have. It's not really a fear, it's just something I don't like. When someone's behind me, I get this like
someone watching you.
Not watching me, it's just like in general, if someone's standing behind me, I get like a chill down my spine, and I don't know why, and I actually get like freaked out a bit. Person behind me could be an absolute saint, but I just don't like people standing behind me. That's just a random ick with me, I guess, if that's the right word. I don't know if it's a fear. Stalkers I'm not really afraid of. Obviously it's a very scary thing if someone's watching you. Maybe more stalker in the sense of I'm in my house and someone's outside watching me trying to get in or something. That's
Just
probably
like in Scream.
That's freaky to me. I don't like that. Like you hear the doorknob turn on or something, I'd be like, or you hear noises downstairs.
And for the third fear, I would say like people watching you through like windows, so it's sort of like the second fear, but it's also someone being that up close to where you turn and you just see someone
So it's
knocking
like
on the window.
a fear of not being able to be alone, like someone is right behind you.
Yes, so it's a sense of like it's a sense of like never being aware of your like surroundings, and there's always something else there.
About like the dark in the ocean, those are kind of similar in a way.
Yeah. The dark for me stems from like psychosis. So a lot of, if I was to have like any sort of hallucinations and stuff, it would be in the dark. So I hate it. And then the ocean is more of like a getting trapped.
In like a vast expanse.
Yeah. Like drowning. I guess maybe more drowning than the actual ocean, if you know what I mean. But no.
I'm I'm scared of spiders and the fear of fear of unknown, and also the death. I'm scared of the death. Yes, so those are the big fears. And if I'm watching anything like paranormal or something even though I'm interested in paranormal, I'll be terrified the next day, and I do not enjoy it.
Yeah. I always tend to watch horror stories later on in the day when it's dark out, and then I'm just like, oh no, I can't sleep.
I made that mistake many times, and then you realize you wake up and there's someone staring at you. Thank you, eyes.
Funny that you mentioned that, because the next question is about different horror scenarios, and I'm going to ask you to pick out one of them that stands out to you.
Alright.
Sort of interesting there, we've kind of touched upon bits of the next question, which is there's different horror scenarios. I'm going to tell them to you, and you sort of pick out which one sticks out the most to you.
Okay.
You're asleep in your bed, but you hear banging on your door at night all of a sudden. The next one is you look out a window and see that something is watching you. You're alone and lost somewhere you don't remember or belong. And the last one is there's no hope left.
I think the most appealing out of those would probably be
I think the third one, because it has a mystery to it of why don't you belong, why don't you remember.
If I was like lost somewhere I don't belong, you could find a way to belong. I'd say the worst one for me, just like morally, is someone watching me.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like a non-moving figure, constant.
I would have to say the second one. I thought, like, personally, like, ties into what I've like previously said. Someone's there watching you, and you can't like necessarily get away.
The person at the window, or the figure at the window, and also the being lost somewhere that you don't know. And I think the reason for that is because it's sort of like, I mean, you could say this about the noise one too, but it's sort of like a fear of the unknown thing, which I think is natural to humans. I feel like we always fear things that we're not sure what it is, you know?
I'd say there is no hope. Because if there's just no hope at all, it's like very like defeating.
It's the stalking part. The stalking one, I would be like, no.
One at the window?
Yeah, no. That's a bigger fear. That's another fear of mine. I don't like when someone's watching me. Like, so if someone's behind me or someone that's watching me, I'll be like, no, I don't like that.
It's just something that you can immediately build the story of.
Yeah, fear of the unknown. It's like, that's something that can happen.
Yeah.
Of just like, you feel safe and then you realize like, oh, there was something there.
It's also like Uncanny Valley. Those sort of videos sort of remind me of that sort of scenario. Very unnerving.
Things that we don't fully understand or comprehend.
Yeah, things that we can't grasp the concept of is definitely scary to humans, and I think being somewhere you're not supposed to be, being somewhere that you don't know where you are, is definitely a terrifying concept.
We always look for answers but only get more questions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that as a idea is the scariest part.
I don't know. I won't enjoy that. So that one is like no go for me.
Kind of similar to Scream in that way.
Yeah, and that's why I watch it sometimes. But if it happened to me, I'll be terrified. But if it happened to someone else, I'll be okay. Which is probably bad, but yeah.
Right. To ask you a question as well. Fourth one, no hope left. Does that mean like no hope left, like personally or something? Like I'm like, oh, like there's no hope I'm doing something, or I'm
It's
just
sort of
like I'm done. Like there's no hope left in life or something.
You have hope but you lost it.
Yeah, like there's just nothing.
It's sort of like in some horror stories where it's just like it ends in a case of just like you think there's a way out, but it's just like there's just no happy ending. Like in The Thing where they basically freeze to death.
But yeah, no, just I guess the idea of like just nothing. Or just like there's nothing to really keep going for because there's no hope. It's definitely very bad.
Yeah, that one. Looking at my window and seeing something watching me, it's a bit creepy too. Probably say that one. But probably the last one, no hope left. That's a bit like trying to think of the right word. Like discreet, I guess. I don't know.
Mysterious?
Yeah, mysterious.
I'm gonna tell you something. You are the first and only person so far to have picked There's No Hope Left.
Who? What? Who picked the other one? What was picked?
That is all the questions, and thank you for participating.
That's been Lewis.